Hello and good afternoon, everybody. So, I hope your day so far has been as intellectually stimulating as mine. Conferences and exhibitions such as this are a great chance to step out of the business, get that much coveted bird's eye view, take some ideas, and go back and start implementing in your own business. Just so I can get a rough idea of who we have in the room, just by a quick show of hands, how many people here run their own business or businesses? Okay, and how many run either verticals or teams? Okay, so pretty much everybody here is a business leader in their own right. Now, I'm sure you're here, just like myself, everybody else here in the room, to take ideas and insights and learnings and take them back to your organization in the quest for greater success. I have a hypothesis, however. My theory is this. The success that you're looking for in business has got much less to do with what you have yet to learn and much more to do with what you have yet to do. It's a theory. I'm happy to be proven wrong. So let's have a little quick show of hands exercise. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, or I'm going to make 3 statements. Whichever one applies, stick your hand up. First one, my team and I do not know what we need to do to succeed. Good. Okay, second one, my team and I are incapable of doing what we need to do to succeed. So then, the third one is, my team know what we need to do to succeed, but for some reason or excuse, they just aren't doing what they know they need to do in order to succeed. A couple? I don't know if there's a fourth option, because those are the only 3 I came up with. It's this can't versus won't issue that's often at the heart of most business shortcomings. Everything that we haven't yet achieved is less because we don't know what we need to do, much more likely because we haven't done what we know we need to do. Now, I'm going to make another hypothesis here, since I'm on a roll with mine. If there were structured accountability, the business would be at a different level. So put your hand up if you think if this is correct. If we had structured accountability in place, business results would be better. Yes? Pretty much across the board. What this tells us is this is not an isolated problem. In the hundreds of companies that I've had the chance to work with over the years, a lack of accountability has been the number one reason for suboptimal business performance. I tend to work with CEOs and directors who think at 100 miles an hour, and they see new markets, they see new potential, they want to get out there and win this business. They just need their team to keep up with them. But the team slows down, and it slows down the results of the business with them. Accountability is something we're going to discuss here today. Now, accountability is after everybody knows what they need to do, you've said it a dozen times, you've given them the tools, you've had the hour-long heart-to-heart one-to-ones, you've gotten their commitment that yes, I'm going to get this done for you by next week Monday, and it just doesn't happen. Accountability has a couple of different parts to it. We're going to discuss 3 parts here today. The first one is culture, the second is structure, and the third is implementation. When it comes to any shortcomings, business or otherwise in fact, when it comes to any shortcomings, there's usually one of 2 things that's happened. Either I am at fault, or the other party is at fault. And it's always a good idea to introspect before we turn around and point fingers externally. So, internally speaking, as the owner, manager, decision maker in this organization, am I ensuring that standards are equal across the board? Or are some more equal than others? Is it that, for example, I expect sales to always hit their targets, but production gets a little bit of a leeway? Or is it that managers can under-deliver because there isn't a clear reporting structure? What I've seen almost every time is if there's inequality in standards, there's a lack of accountability throughout the business. Standards need to be equal. Now when I say equal, it means everybody has targets, and everybody is accountable towards achieving their particular target. We have this concept in Action Coach. If internally is fine, now we look externally. We have this concept in Action Coach called the line of choice. And you can choose to play above the line or below the line. You can say, look, you know what, this is my role, this is my department, this is my task. I'm going to take ownership of it, and whatever issues come with it, I say I need to do 1, 2, and 3 in order to overcome that challenge. I hold myself accountable, I actually do those things. And whether or not it works, I'm happy to take the responsibility. And that's playing as a victor, somebody who wants to win. There may be some people in the organization who want to play in the victim zone. Constant blame, constant excuses. I tried, but yeah, I sent them the email, but I've been following up with that customer, but, and all the excuses that come with it. Some of you are nodding, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or you have someone who just buries their head in the sand, hoping that problem will eventually just fizzle away on its own. As an individual, of course, you can play either above or below the line, but the culture in the company will also be one that is either above or below the line. Which one you'd like your company to play at is completely your choice, but I think you know which one makes better money. Accountability will only come when there is a culture. Now, culture is hard to implement. It takes a long time, it takes a lot of effort, but it's worth it because of the results that it has and the impact that it has on the outcomes of the business. Once that culture is set, or at least once the seeds of that culture are planted, we can move to structure. Accountability is not a review of tasks. If this is what accountability looks like, then accountability will be nothing but a boring, never-ending review of to-do lists. And this serves no business benefit whatsoever. You're going to get bored, they're going to get bored, eventually the exercise will die. If there has to be structure, there has to be structure based on certain predictable outcomes, or at least certain set outcomes. This is an example of what a set outcome can look like. So this is quarterly plans. Clients create their own quarterly plans every 90 days. And then, so these plans are used in weekly meetings. There's 3 parts of this plan that greatly aid accountability. And by the way, if you want any of these later on, I'm happy to share them with you. There's 3 things that this plan does that greatly aids accountability. Number 1, it shows who is responsible for what. You have, that's the strategy that's going to be executed. Who is it that is going to be in charge of running that strategy, making sure it is implemented? Secondly, it has start and end dates. So it is clear, this is not an open-ended task. It starts on this date and it finishes by this date. Meaning, on that date, on the, let's say, 3rd week of April, I can point to somebody's plan and say, you said you were going to get this done by now. Have you done it? And thirdly, perhaps most crucially, is the last column at the far end, which is the measurement of success. What does success for this strategy look like? What is a valuable metric that we can use to tell if all the time and effort we put into the strategy was worth the effort? So this person, by this date, should be able to deliver this outcome. And that is structured accountability. Now, these plans are what get used during weekly management meetings. Everybody is publicly accountable for what they said they're going to do. I'll give you a quick story. There's one client that I'm working with. They've been around for a fairly long time, about 14, 15 years. Fairly sized company, about $20 million turnover. The guy's been running the business from the day he started. And today, or until recently, he was working about 6.5 days a week in the business. Now, 6.5 days literally means he was at work all day, every day, really, really long hours. He takes his work back home with him when he goes in the evenings. He takes his work with him when he goes on holidays. Takes his phone to bed, takes his phone to the bathroom. You know what I mean. Some of you are nodding. We need to talk. The issue was, he didn't actually mind the 6.5 days as much as he minded what those 6.5 days entailed. Literally 4.5 out of those 6.5 days was operations. Firefighting, doing the same thing over and over again, just fixing the same damn problems. Eventually he had enough. So as part of the 90-day plan, when we started working together, he created his plan, and his big goal for the quarter was, I need to have operations systemized. So he called the ops manager, he said, sit down, we're going to put a plan together. Operations there has to be a process around operations, put a system in place, I want to be out. 90 days later, after 14 years, 90 days later, he spends a day and a half in operations. That's given him 3 days, apart from the fact he's got a weekend back, which he forgot existed. But he's gotten back 3 days to work on finance, to work on hiring the right people, to work on sales and marketing. As a direct result of actually being able to work on sales and marketing when his customers were awake and at work, he's already, Q1 2018, he's already crossed 50% of his 2017 total revenue. And he is well on his way to smashing 2018 targets. A simple plan, it's not actually very complicated. It takes about 2 hours to create, and that's if you take long. It takes 2 hours to create, but it gives structure for that accountability. So the way that it would work is every client that I work with creates their plans. Now they run the company, so their plan covers the entire company. But every team member, every senior team member, has their own 90-day plan for their department, even if it's just a couple of items long. And then that's what everybody is held accountable to. So just a very quick show of hands. How many people here run weekly management meetings? Okay, so for those of you who do, this is a tool that can aid you. Remind me, I'll send it to you later on. For those of you who don't, you're missing out. Now, not every person in the team works strategically, but that's okay. Business, or the language of business, is numbers. And the more fluent you are with numbers, the better your results and the better the outcome. KPIs, which is a term I'm sure you're all familiar with, KPIs should help you run your organization. The dashboards, which is a visual collection of your KPIs, need to be established for every individual, every department, every person, literally from the CEO downwards. Every person should have a dashboard that shows their performance to date. Using dashboards is perhaps the most powerful tool I can recommend to you. It is fantastic in how well it works, because as soon as somebody is publicly accountable for their dashboards and for their numbers, it's transformative. The task and operation-based team members will have certain targets to hit. Those that work on bigger levels will have metrics that show the results of the progress that they're making. Now, department heads, here's where it gets fun. Department heads will have a dashboard that reflects not just their performance, but the performance of their team. Same for vertical heads. In fact, every member of the organization should have a dashboard that reflects their performance as well as the performance of their immediate reports. And what this does is it cascades accountability down throughout the company to allow for frequent, focused accountability review. It's not an hour long, and it doesn't happen once a year. Performance evaluations are different. This is weekly, 5 minutes. These are the numbers you're supposed to hit. Are you hitting them? And when you ask numbers that focused, the results could startle you. There's one guy, one business that I've been working with for some time now. It's a fairly large company that just got bought out by a conglomerate. And it's a nice chunky business. It's 100 million dirham turnover business. Now, if it's a 100 million dirham turnover business, their challenges are different to most SMEs. Interestingly enough, his challenge was cash flow. Huge turnover. Every month they're invoicing between 7, 8, 9 million dirhams, but their collections were always poor. They invoice 7, they collect 5. They invoice 9, they collect 6.5. And every single month, the CFO had a really good excuse to the GM as to why the money had not been collected. Finally, the GM got tired, we put dashboards in place, and now we started having weekly dashboard reviews during the management meeting. And it was startling. Everybody's looking at the same dashboard. There's one dashboard for the company, all the senior management are sitting there and they're looking at the dashboard. And the sales is looking at it and saying, I'm meeting my targets. And production is saying, I'm meeting our deadlines. Everyone's looking at the CFO and saying, you need to pick up the phone and collect a check. Why is that so hard? And literally from the following week, for the first time in about 14-year history of this company, they had collections better than their invoicing. So they're invoicing 7 million, they're collecting 9 million. Obviously the backlog was huge. And you can only imagine what they were able to do with that amount of extra cash flow. The last element in accountability is implementation. Now, implementation, apart from quarterly plans and KPIs, there also have to be rewards and consequences in the business. Now, this is where even the most well-intentioned managers will tend to get it wrong. You must have heard of the carrots and sticks approach in business, or the kisses and kicks version, whichever you prefer. Put your hand up if you use carrots in business. Incentives, bonuses, commissions, perks. Alright, quite a few tough managers, that's good. Put your hand up if you use sticks in the business. You take away incentives, warning letters, fire somebody. Okay, we got 2. 4. Alright, great. Keep your hand up if carrots are equal to sticks. Alright, got 2 more. That's good. See, what usually tends to happen, and this is the case in many organizations, is carrots usually far outweigh the sticks, which may not even exist. Right? I'll give you an example. When was the last time you took some serious action for underperformance? You have a new salesperson on board, and in the first 3 months, they hit their targets. You have bonuses, you give them commissions, you throw a party, put their name up on the wall, whole 9 yards. You've got a salesperson who's been around for 3 quarters, and he's still underperforming. And you as the manager are making excuses on his behalf, or you as the CEO are making excuses on his behalf, saying, oh no, I know it's a tough market and customers are being difficult, and he needs to learn and he needs to be supported. Come on, you have to be equal on both. See, I truly believe you do more harm to the company by not being strict. If somebody underperforms and you don't hold them accountable, you aren't strict with them. You send out a very loud, clear message. Metrics don't matter. Near enough is good enough. And good enough is going to leave you dead in the water. So, takeaways from today. 4 things I'd like you to take away from this workshop. Number 1, everybody has to be held to the same standard. The same standard means they have a target, they're accountable for that target, whether it's that much or the company-wide. Number 2, set clear expectations. What is each person being held accountable to? What is the metric of success? And by when is it supposed to be done? Number 3, frequent, focused reviews. Every week, doesn't have to be every day, but it should be every month. And very, very focused. These are the 4 things you needed to get done. These are the 6 numbers we're tracking. How are you doing on these? And then lastly, the carrots should be equal to the sticks. Not more, but definitely not less. I know I've given you quite a few resources here today, so if you do want any of these, I'm more than happy to share them. Just email the office at any point of time, synergy@actioncoach.com, blank email with the word accountability. I'll send you a Dropbox link with all of the resources that are in this. One thing I can promise you is these tools that we talk about have been implemented successfully across the world. We work with something like 20,000 businesses every week around the world. And the results are staggering. 600% revenue growth, tripling of team size, exponential growth, both in geography and in reach. And I want that same for you. I only have one request. If this has been of benefit, and you can see the value in implementing accountability and these structures in your organization, I only have one request. Do something. Don't overthink. Don't wait. Start implementing something. You can make it perfect as you go along. I wish you every success. Thank you.
Thank you so much there. I guess it's rightly said that winners don't do different things, they do things differently. Thank you so much, Mr. Murtaza, for that fabulous talk. And once again, please, hands together for him.